This is 10 individual walks between 3 and 8 miles in length. The first one's in Glasgow. We work our way down the country and finish off in Devon. That's between March and July. And each walk is there to increase local awareness of hearing dogs for deaf people, provide dogs for a fun day out. If you don't have a dog, you bring your kids along and they have a fun day out. There'll be kids' activities. And what we want to do is increase awareness of these wonderful dogs that change people's lives.
Ben, for you, what's the Great British Dog Walk all about?
It's about getting out and about, enjoying the great British countryside. We've teamed up with the National Trust, and you don't even have to have a dog to come along to it. So you can borrow one, you can just soak up the atmosphere, but also raising money and most importantly, having fun.
One of those things that you just mentioned, the life-changing support really, isn't it, that a hearing dog can provide an adult or child who's severely or profoundly deaf. Ben, what is that support, what it entails?
Well, deafness as a disability, which it is, can actually be quite a lonely, isolating experience. But suddenly having the dog there not only brings companionship, it's a friend, it's having your dog there changes your life, but it also alerts people that you have this deafness. They wear a bib that says it's a hearing dog, and it changes people's lives profoundly.
And Bruce, for you, just how important is this support that these dogs can provide?
With many disabilities, you and I will notice if somebody has a disability. They're in a wheelchair, walking with a white stick, so indicates that they're blind. Deafness is invisible. You don't see it. And what very often happens is that deaf people are shouted at, got angry at, thought of as being dumb. And the dog changes all that. Of course, they act as ears. They tell you that somebody's knocked at the door or that the telephone rings, because there are gizmos in telephones to help. They tell you if a fire alarm has gone off. But they make people feel better about themselves because the dog depends on you as well. And what we discovered was, as well as filling that deficit, acting as ears for them, these dogs have a great psychological value. People feel greater self-esteem about themselves. They feel greater self-worth. They have less fear of traffic once they have a dog. Some of it is almost irrational, reduction in the fear of traffic. But it's what happens when people get a hearing dog.
And do we have any indication, any statistics as to just how many people are actually affected by this?
There are probably 10 million people in the United Kingdom who are hearing impaired. That's 1 out of 6 of us.
10 walking events taking place as part of the Great British Dog Walk. Where and when, Ben?
You can find out more at greatbritishDogWalk.org, where we've got all the dates and all of the different locations, which will all be at National Trust properties.
Bruce, you founded this charity, was it back in 1982? Where was it and why did you start it?
In 1980, I organised a meeting for the British Small Animal Veterinary Association that we called the Human Companion Animal Bond. I was curious about the relationships my clients had with their pets. A woman named Babs Wright, who is a vice chairman of the Royal National Institute for the Deaf, came to that meeting. If I can speak politely, she put my arm in a tight arm lock and she said, "You will now do everything I tell you for the rest of your life." She was my mother's age. And she and I set up hearing dogs. She was just the most wonderful, dynamic person. We first set up in Oxfordshire in Chinner. And the reason we set up in Chinner was that I convinced a veterinary friend of mine who had a boarding kennels that we could use his facilities. We set up a porta-cabin and we trained 6 dogs a year for the first 3 years. We've remained local. We then moved to Lucanor. We're now in Saunderton in Buckinghamshire near High Wycombe. That's our main centre, but we found that we needed one in the north of England, so we set up in Yorkshire, I guess close to 20 years ago. We have the 2 centres now.
Ben, you're obviously well known as a TV presenter, an author, an adventurer. What was it that got you involved and so interested in this Great British Dog Walk?
I've been involved with the charity since I was a young boy, growing up with a father who is a vet and living above his veterinary clinic, and then being around when he was helping co-found the charity. I've had an interest ever since I was a young boy, really. So the chance to support the charity over the years is very important to me, and obviously with the Great British Dog Walk, it's a perfect excuse for me to not only support the charity, but take my own dogs out, get the kids outdoors, and hopefully raise awareness and raise some money for this really important charity.
Well, let's talk about the dogs themselves. How are they actually trained to alert people to the household sounds that we talked about, the danger signals?
It takes about 18 months. It's a long process. And they're taught in sign language, obviously, rather than verbal communications, which is what I'm used to doing with my own dogs. And it's amazing to see. I've been fortunate enough over the years to see a number of dogs that have been trained up and to meet their owners and see how it's completely transformed their lives. And that's why coming along on days like this and meeting the trainers, meeting the owners is so refreshing. It's enabling, it's uplifting.
So you mentioned the timescale. It's a lengthy procedure to get them trained. How then are the dogs matched up to the recipients?
We always choose the people who will acquire these dogs before we choose the dogs. Everybody's different. If you're 25 years old and you have a number 1 haircut, you might not want to have a little Chihuahua in a peach satin baby doll outfit as your hearing dog. But you might feel more comfortable in public with a black and tan Doberman, let's say. So we will discuss with you what you've had in the past, what you'd like in the future, and then we'll find a dog that complements your personality.
And Ben, I guess that must be one of the most satisfying aspects of this procedure, isn't it? When you see the dogs matched up with the recipient.
Absolutely. You see a smile on everyone's faces. As a dog owner myself, I know what benefits my dog brings to me and my family, that it's a bonding process. It's something that gives you immense joy. You get out and about, you get fresh air. It's got health benefits having a dog. So when you add just those simple values to the fact that this dog is actually working, it's transforming the life of someone who has deafness or has hearing difficulties, it shows how important a charity like this is.
And also important, another aspect of the event really worth touching on, the benefits of walking for humans and for dogs.
Whatever the weather, my father and I, we're out walking the dogs. If you're a dog owner, and I'm sure there's many listening out there, you'll know what we mean. There's no such thing really as bad weather if you're a dog owner. You have to go out. You have a good sturdy jacket and a good pair of boots. But it makes you a healthier person. It means that you enjoy the countryside, you enjoy the great outdoors. I think I calculated I must have walked thousands and thousands of miles walking dogs over the years. So the reason that the Great British Dog Walk, I think, is so wonderful is that we're encouraging people who might not even have a dog to come out. Maybe they can borrow a friend's, maybe they can just come and join in with everyone else. And not only are you going to be raising money, but you're going to actually be benefiting your own health. You might be able to have an extra Cornish pasty afterwards.
I mean, that is an important message, Bruce, isn't it? The benefits of walking for everyone's health.
I think we're all probably aware of the research that's been reported fairly recently that probably the best exercise you can get is simply walking. I didn't know I had an app in my phone that if I have my phone in my pocket, it tells me how many kilometers I walk. And it turns out that walking my dogs twice a day averages out about 7 kilometers a day. Well, the Great British Dog Walk is going to mean 5 to 8 miles, but on a National Trust property. Neither Ben nor I had ever been here to Austerley Park. And we both went, wow, this is such a short distance from our homes. And look at these buildings. Look at this Regency building that we can wander through. So on the Great British Dog Walk, of course, the dog's going to have fun because it's a walk and they're going to meet other dogs. But people will have fun as well. If you don't have a dog, there will be stalls for kids' activities. There'll be treat bags for everybody who comes. We'll get healthier for it. Dogs will have more fun. And what I'm hoping is more people will know about the charity Hearing Dogs for Deaf People.
Well, as we say, this venue is one of the 10 available. So if anyone wants to get involved in the walks in their area, tell us how they can do that.
Just go to the website, greatbritishDogWalk.org.
And Ben, worth repeating that one more time, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anyone just needs to go to greatbritishDogWalk.org. It's £10 for adults, £5 for children. What a great way to enjoy the countryside, enjoy some of the National Trust properties, and also raise awareness and money for Hearing Dogs for Deaf.
Local radio for local people.
It's all here for you. Traffic and travel. What's on guide? Great songs and great memories on Gravity FM.
Your community, your radio, 97.2.
Gravity.
Gravity